Okay, good morning. This week we are back on the farm, but before we start, if you have not done already, please hit subscribe, ring the bell, and that will notify you of our videos 8:30 every Sunday morning. So, on the farm, you remember last time we were here talking about cattle, we introduced you to Vomer. Vomer is the one that has the broken tool. We've let him rest, we left him on his own and we've sat him to one side, and ultimately, to a point, everything seems to have repaired itself. It seems to be going back within, as it should. There is a big lump on the end, which I'm hoping that's not going to get damaged, but everything else tackle-wise seems like it's likely to work again. All the signs are there. So, we've reintroduced Vomer to 3 ladies in here. Nothing has happened yet, but they're not ready yet because they've not long calved. So nothing's ready yet to start cycling, so he's not sort of getting himself in action. But what we did notice when we got him penned up on his own, every time we needed to run something past him or by him, he got himself very excited. So he is one horny little devil that we want to get back into action if we can. But if you remember when we were here, obviously I was having a little bit of a moment because we'd put Sam out, if you remember, and Sam wasn't performing and he'd gone lame. We had the hoof doctor out, the hoof come out, had a look, and basically, yes, he had actually got a stone in there, or a stone stroke, a little bit of an infection or something. So that's all been cleaned out, job done, and Sam has now been getting himself better, and we've actually seen him starting to jump in the little group that we have left him with. So fingers crossed, Sam is back in action to a point. Vomer then, obviously we introduced him, we had the problems that we had, and then we had to immediately remove him from the situation. And what I didn't want to do is find ourselves then left with this big gap of not having a bull running. So what I decided to do the following day was I contacted a chap in Landovery who breeds pedigree limousins, and I went down to see him, and he had got 1 bull left, and it was one of the bulls actually I was looking at when we went to Welshpool and bought Vomer. When I went through the book to have a look at what bulls that we were interested in, Umberto, which is our new bull, was one of the ones that I was interested in, but he wasn't actually at the sale. So I made contact, he was still available, and we went down, or I went down on a Sunday morning, early doors, and bought him, and we brought him back and we put him out to action. Umberto is a bit of a beast. He's 940 something kilo, so he's a lot bigger of a bull. And where I thought maybe we had seen the problem because he was relatively small compared to some of the bigger cows we've got, I thought to myself, a bigger bull like Umberto should be in a far better position for some of the bigger stock that we've got around. So we put Umberto in with the group that was originally with Sam and then with Vomer for a few days, and then now is with Umberto. And where it seemed like he'd started working, I'm now not 100% certain whether he has or not, because after a matter of a week, it looked like he'd trapped a nerve in his back. So I don't know what is going on. The only thing I can say is Udo is just the best bull ever, because there's not been an ounce of trouble with him. He's serving like Billy-O everything that gets in front of him, to the point where I think we've just PD'd, and I'm sure there was 40 that he's got in calf this year that we've took away from him now and put in another field. So we've actually added a few more into his group, thinking that hopefully he can pick up the slack where the other 3 are not really or haven't been performing. But I'm hoping, like I say, if Vomer, he is one horny devil, he's after everything that he can get his hands on. So I'm just hoping his tackle has mended enough that he can get himself back on the job and really clear up and finish serving all of that group, because we're not far off the point in which we want to take the bulls out to give us that clear separation between our 2 calving groups. So yeah, regarding sucklers and bulls, does anybody else seem to have this much trouble? Like I say, we seem to have an absolute legend in Udo, but everything else, like I say, Sam has now started working again, so we've took Umberto out and put him with a smaller group, and we've put Sam back in with the bigger group, because he seems to be the most active out of the 3 of them at the minute. Well, other than we're not letting him loose yet, Vomer. But does anybody else have this much trouble with bulls, and is it every bull or is it just limousins as a breed? Because I'm starting to think that we're pot luck really with Udo, and the rest of them just seems to be how it goes. Anyway, moving on, fat cattle. We've took 4 in this week, and we've had some good numbers actually, because they were 4 of our not so good stock. I mean, they were obviously better than our neighbours and everybody else's around the area, but they were more Limmy Angus cross than they were Limmy, if you like. So, but we did get some good prices. They were 640 to 680-ish kilo, and the prices we got back were about 365, I think was the least, and 390, I think was the most per kilo. So I was quite pleased with that, given that they weren't the most shapy or sort of tucked up of animals. Like I say, we were just really emptying out 4 to give us a bit more room. We've got these babies coming through now, and obviously these are more Limmy and our own stuff bred on farm. So these are coming through. These are a far different animal. So I'm hoping that we're going to be over £4, if not heading towards the 450 mark, if the market stays where it is at the minute. So these ones I'm very hopeful on. We've got some more around the corner that are probably a little bit closer than what these are. These are a few weeks off yet. And then moving away from fat cattle and more to the rearing cattle, I've got a question. So onto our sort of young stock that we're rearing up now, and they're really the only ones that we've had any problems with. But the problem is ringworm, and it's a pet hate of mine because I think it looks horrible. Now, what I don't understand is this is a brand new shed that has never really had any stock in before. Yes, we bought stock in, like I said, I bought a lot of stock in this year, and we've arguably could have bought it in with us. I know that it could arguably sit within the timber element, but that is the only timber element, which is the bottom of the feed fence. But my question is, can you get rid of it? And if so, cost effectively, can you do that? And I'm worried that if we're going to go down the route of increasing and growing our pedigree side, what I don't want is a bout of it on the bank that we then start seeing come through in the pedigree stock. So I had a conversation yesterday with our vets at the market, and there is some solutions that they've suggested, but albeit seem quite expensive to do so. But what they sort of said is perhaps you should be looking more at the health status of the animal, because a healthy animal doesn't necessarily always pick it up. Case in point here, Ryan has managed to get himself a very tiny little patch just about here of ringworm. However, Mark and I, being obviously far more healthy than Ryan, probably because of our diet and our physique and shape and everything else, we've not caught anything, touch wood. So is it just that we've bought it in, and at that point when we bought it in, arguably we've got some that weren't perhaps as good a health status as we wanted them to be, and they were struggling a little bit, and therefore they've been low, feeling rough, and then they've managed to catch it? Or, going back to my old wives' tales, is there something that you can do? Because I'm sure somebody somewhere has said to me something about putting something in the building. I just can't remember for the life of me what it was. It was hanging, I'm sure it was hanging something up in the building. If you know what it is though, drop me a comment in the box. Then the only other thing really on the farm that has been going on this week is the sheep have had a haircut, so they're all trimmed up and been sheared nice now. And really, I suppose BioUnit, they've been and done the test, we're just waiting for the results, but he said it was looking good. And Reese Baby's just been and put me the last 2 cladding sheets on so we can put the barge on and finish this end section of the building. Critty's got to come in tomorrow, I think it is actually, to put the power to the roller shutter door, and then effectively we've got that end of the building is pretty much finished then up here. So all efforts then going forward, we are off tomorrow morning to a big job in Milton Keynes for Fowler and Gilbert, and then we'll bring you a bit on that next, and then we'll be all hands on deck really after that, back at the farm and trying to get these clamps up. So if you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and we will leave you with an on the farm montage again.